This week on Ace on the House.
Stained grade holocore is bad.
Yeah, I don't think that's rare.
That's rare like a form of cancer that kills 9-year-olds. Sad rare.
Should I just replace every door then?
Well, first off, let's talk about this.
$40 each, maybe.
Let's talk about the so-called house you're living in. What the fuck?
That was built in the early 90s.
Yeah. Holocore.
Stained grade, hollow core. That's like special order.
Yeah.
Special ed order.
That's basically like you going, hey, man, I want to set you up with this gal. She's fat and doesn't give blowjobs.
I'm in.
Wow, win-win.
Check out an all-new episode of Ace on the House this Saturday, or visit aceonthehouse.com, only on the Ace Broadcasting Network.
Hey everyone, it's me, Allison. So, before we start, I just wanted to say a few things. First of all, I need to address the fact that as you listen to this episode, you're going to hear something weird and disjointed, and I don't just mean me. Something especially weirder even, and more disjointed, and allow me to explain what happened. When we recorded this show with guest Doug Benson, we did the segment that I sometimes do on the show called Deleted Tweets. And one of the tweets was about someone who, in between the time that we recorded this show and now when it's airing, that person died. So although the deleted tweet itself was not very harsh, we were wondering, how do we do? What do we do? And how do we do? What do we do in this situation? Because obviously the fact that this person is gone now sort of changes the context and makes it a little less lighthearted, to say the least. So we put our heads together and decided the best thing to do is to just cut out that section out of respect for everyone. So you're going to hear us talking about deleted tweets, and you're going to hear the deleted tweet song. And then you're going to hear me talking about Twitter, because the conversation turned into a discussion about Twitter. And it's after the song and then me talking about Twitter, that moment right there, it's not going to make sense. And that is because something was cut out. So we hope you understand, and we hope that you can get past that bit of weirdness. I'm sure you can. Okay, thank you. And moving on, I also need to address the following, which is that on this episode, I talked quite a bit about a party that I was invited to, a costume party that I didn't want to go to. I was trying to find a way to not go to the party, but I had decided that I was just going to go to the party. And as it turned out, I ended up not going to the party. And the reason is kind of gross and medical, but I'm going to tell you anyway, because I share too much of that stuff. Okay, so the day that I had set aside to go costume shopping, I mean, as you'll hear on the episode, that I had started shopping for costumes, but I couldn't find anything. And then I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going to go on this one day. So because of the endometriosis, which I've talked about, I have to be on the birth control pill, and the one that I was on, I was having all sorts of side effects, and one of the side effects was nonstop bleeding. And when they did my blood test before the surgery that I had at the end of the year, they discovered that I was anemic. So I was, in the back of my head was this idea that, like, it's probably not good that I'm bleeding every day. So I texted my doctor, and she was like, can you come down? And she's in Orange County. Can you come down today? I want to get a blood test stat. So anyway, the day that I'd set aside for costuming, I don't think that's the correct word. Instead, I ended up getting a blood test and then see my doctor. So that made it so that I couldn't go to the party. How do I feel about that? Well, I feel like my friend, who was super cool about my not going to the party because of that, because obviously he was just like, just get better, which just means not, building up my iron and not being anemic and not bleeding and stuff. If he hears this, I'm afraid that he's going to be like, wait a minute, she didn't want to go anyway. Although he did kind of know, because I tried to get out of it anyway. Anyway, I guess all of this is me saying, all of this is me directing this to my one friend who invited me to the party, and I feel sheepish. And I am sorry that I bitched so much about having to go to a costume party, when in fact I think it is really nice that you invited me to this party, and that I'm sorry that I couldn't go. And okay, and I love you. And an update on the pill thing, it was making me depressed and fat and bloody, and I switched to a new one. And now I feel a lot better, except this new one makes me feel nauseous. But all of that is still better than all the other things. Okay, way too much lady talk. Is it not? It is too much lady talk. So let's talk about lady and man talk. What the fuck am I saying? I have no idea, but this is a segue. Wait, no. It is going to, I'm giving you warning, there's going to be a segue. I want to back up and say one more thing, which is I want to thank all of you guys for your support and for listening and for sending me emails and telling me that stuff that you've heard on the show has really resonated with you and has made a difference and made you realize things about your own relationships. Lately, I've been getting these great emails from guys who are saying that listening to the show is making them realize things that their girlfriends might be thinking, or that women around them might be thinking that they hadn't occurred to them in the past. And also thank you for all the great reviews and stars and all those things on iTunes. And please keep up the subscribing and reviewing and clicking the stars on iTunes, because the more action there is, the higher we are on the iTunes charts. And I think right now we're like at 6 or 7, and that's unacceptable. I need to be number 1. I'm sure you understand. Okay. Here comes that segue. Allow me to tell you about one of our fine sponsors. Are you looking for something to spice things up in the bedroom? I think you are. Here's an offer you won't be able to resist. Go to adamandeve.com for a limited time only. Excuse me. Go to adamandeve.com and for a limited time only. And. You might know and as that ampersand squiggly thing, but I just mean and. Go to adamandeve.com, and for a limited time only, you'll get 50% off just about any item. And that's not all. When you select your one item at 50% off, you'll also receive 3 free adult DVDs, plus a free extra gift so sensual, I can't even say what it is, which the mind boggles. That means it's incredibly sensual. And to top it all off, we'll even throw in free shipping on your entire order. Not cheap shipping, free shipping. So check out adamandeve.com today for this special offer. Get 50% off one item when you type BEST, B-E-S-T, as in Alison Rosen is your new best friend. BEST for the offer code upon checkout. When you do, you'll get 3 free DVDs, a free extra gift, and free shipping. Just use the offer code BEST at adamandeve.com. I think it is high time we start the show now.
You're listening to the Ace Broadcasting Network.
Alison Rosen is your new best friend. Allison, with her good times never end. Alison Rosen, doing the wavy pencil dance again. Allison's your new best friend.
Hi, everyone. Hey, hello. It's me, Alison Rosen, and welcome to the 6th episode of Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. My guest today is Doug Benson, comedian and all-around Disneyland lover, and great guy, and someone who smokes a fair amount of pot and is known for it. One of the writers of the Marijuana Logs. And what am I leaving out?
Oh, so much.
Dancer.
I do so many
singer.
things. Yeah, well...
You actually did sing and dance.
I have done
when you were
those
younger.
things in things, yes, but I'm not known for those things.
Person who had a cameo in Captain EO, guy with a frog in his throat. There's so many things. You're like...
Yeah, I do it all.
You know that Meredith Brooks song, Bitch? The one that I wish I hadn't brought up because it gets stuck in your head forever?
Yeah.
You're like that, but a guy. You're like, you can't
I am a
define
bitch
you.
and a lover and what else does she say?
A sister and
Child,
a liar.
Sister and a brother.
A child. Is that what you said,
Donald
Gary?
Glover.
I thought so.
Yes. It's weird because no one knew who that was, in the song.
Right.
And so
Now
she was so ahead of
yeah.
her time.
She guessed that there would be a successful young black man named Donald Glover someday.
Mm-hmm. She was eerily prescient or prescient. I don't know which is the correct pronunciation.
I don't
of that
even try
word.
it. All those
I
words
know.
where I don't know which one it is, I just walk away.
Anyone's kind
I can't think of one right now, but I just don't even. You in your inaugural episode, there was a lot of issues with that word. And a word similar to inaugural is integral.
Yes.
Or integral. That drives me nuts.
On the most recent episode of this podcast, I was reading an email, and it said, it seems you have found your niche, but so I saw the word, and I was like, am I going to go niche or am I going to go niche?
Niche.
So I went niche.
Yeah, so
Not
you completely. That's what happens. Is when
Yeah.
you try to split the difference, you completely whiff it. You have to commit to one or the other.
And then one time I was doing commentary for one of those shows on E, and I was trying to say ROUTE, so either route or root. Mm-hmm. And I whiffed it. I didn't know which way I wanted to go, so I said like something like rut or root or something in between. What's going on?
Rote.
But that's
What rote did you take? That's not right. It's either root or route.
Yeah, but I said something different. So there's a piece of paper in front of you. What's going on?
Oh, because I wrote down some things because
good.
I listened to the Pete Holmes inaugural
Oh, wow.
episode to see what I'd be to find out what I'd be in for.
Uh-huh.
And since I enjoy you and Pete, I sat through the whole thing.
Thank you. It was long, I know.
So, like for instance, is there a chance we're going to do the deleted tweets segment today?
Oh, sure. Do you have some?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You should tell the guests about the segments in case they don't listen.
That was me. Sorry. My bad.
We do, as far as I knew. Although,
Or maybe I could have gotten. I could have not seen the email because I lose emails all the time because I get too many of them.
I'm sure that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Gary is nodding with a hopeful look in his face. Well, so that's one thing, but I do have to say that because my own deleted tweet coffer is not it's not brimming right now.
Right.
I didn't bug Gary to bug you about that.
Right, because it's not
Yeah.
a burning thing, but I have one if we do get to that.
What else is on this list? I feel like I'm like reading a message board in person.
Well, it's also just a bunch of scribbly things. I also did not know how soon this episode would, I like to say plop when an episode comes out instead of drop. And I didn't know when that would be necessarily, if it would be like right away or a week or several weeks, because I wrote down to remind people that you and I are going to be doing the Adam Carolla Live in Irvine.
Yes. So when they hear this, they should know
It
that
will
they
have
missed a great
happened.
show.
It will have happened on March 8th, but they can listen to it still.
That's right. That's the beauty of Plopcasts.
Yeah. And then I also just wrote down just something to ask you about.
Oh, on air or off?
On air. No, off air I would have said it when we were standing around waiting to do this, but on air.
You're on it.
How much does Paul McCartney's new album title bother you? And I'll remind you what it is.
Please do. I'm super high.
It's called Kisses on the Bottom.
Oh, it bothers me a lot.
What is that even?
Kisses
Why?
on the bottom
and it's
of
an
what?
album. It's an album of like romantic standards. So he's saying he kisses his lover's bottom.
Yeah. What? Kisses on the bottom. Is this some sort of... Gary's dying. Is this some sort of Britishism?
I wrote that down. Like, here's something I'll say on the next time I'm on a microphone.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that we're the microphone you're on. Has he explained at all what it means?
He
And
may
what
he
goes
may
on
have
the
done
top?
interviews, but as soon as somebody's interviewing Paul McCartney, that's not a channel
Yeah.
I'm going to stay on. I always admired the man's work, and I appreciate that he's still pro pot. I read that somewhere, but I don't.
I think he just quit. He just said that he's quitting
He's for
smoking now.
legalizing it, but
Okay.
he's not smoking anymore for
Right.
the children. He's finally decided this most recent child, because he had another kid recently. See one of
Sure.
those old dads?
Maybe that's who he's kissing on the bottom.
But that bothers me
I know,
too,
that's-
because the
yeah.
songs on the album, the new song is called My Valentine. It's like this, Valentine song to a lover, not a child.
Okay, which is better.
And then the rest of the songs are like, standards. That it's supposed to be a great album, but Kisses on the bottom. It just every time I hear it, it bugs me.
Bothers you. What if it was called Butt Kisses?
Then I'd be all about it.
Because then it's just saying what it is,
Right, but also in my mind, would have a second meaning, which is, you
Kissing
could do this,
up.
you could do that, or, but kisses could also happen.
Oh. Ooh, it should be butt, B-U-T-T, comma, kisses.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. So, Doug Benson, I have a conundrum, or rather I had one. It sort of got solved, but I want to bring it up on the air anyway so I can
Okay.
get your opinion and the listener's opinion of this social situation.
Okay.
So I was invited to a party, a costume party, like some elite costume party or something, where each table. I know you already look skeptical. Are you looking at me like?
I'm already. That's a party I probably wouldn't go to.
See, it's a party
and
I
not
wouldn't...
feel guilty about not going.
Oh, why weren't we recording this when I received the invitation? It's also the kind of thing... I was expecting me to explain this part later in the story, but I'm going to do it at the top.
Okay.
And then I'll kiss the story from the bottom later
Okay.
on. Ew, see, that sounded gross. It's the kind of thing that I wouldn't go to either. However, I am always fighting against this idea that, like, that'd be so typical of me not to do that thing. So I'm going to make myself do it. And I feel like I'm 36 and I should just allow myself to be who I am and recognize that it's okay that I'm not a masquerade type person, but whatever. Anyway, I unfortunately didn't do that. But it's one of my really good friends who invited me.
How good of a friend could it be to
if
put
he
you in a
thinks that
position of having to costume?
Thank you. And here's the thing. Exactly. I thought we were good friends. Who knows? Each table at the party has a different theme, and our theme is Viking, which there is not really even a Viking costume.
You have to go buy something or rent something, and then it's got to be...
it's not straightforward. You kind of have to piece it together. Are you going to go Game of Thrones? Are you going to go other things that are caveman-y?
Yeah, and then for a lady, I think your only choice is to have like a
bustier,
a helmet and a bustier, and your hair in
braids.
Yeah, and
I don't want to go Madonna halftime show. She was kind of
you Madonna. Like that's a stuck in your head thing.
Yeah,
that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like at first I thought, oh, that's cute that they're cheering for Madonna during the Super Bowl. I get it. Then it comes out as an actual single where the song is just people continually saying, I love you, Madonna, over and over again in her song. It's worse than Kisses from the Bottom.
I don't know if I'm going to say it's worse, but it's up there.
They're tied.
Yeah. Like I already feel irritated that you sang that. No offense.
It's really... you didn't see the halftime show?
No, I did.
Okay.
I did, but I had managed to forget that there was a lot of that happening.
Yeah.
I also didn't see MIA.
Flip the Bird?
Yeah.
It was so fast.
I saw it in the countless clips of it that were played and stuff, but I didn't see it at the time.
It was super fast, and that anyone's offended by it, that offends me.
Me too. It's
because
ridiculous.
The middle finger needs to be let out of the middle finger jail because everyone knows what it means.
The finger pokey.
It's there to replace saying fuck you.
Right.
So it's a clean way of saying fuck you.
Right. It's like saying no one can say quote unquote the F word.
Yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculous. That the middle finger and the word shit are in this weird jail that makes no sense because there's a million ways to say the word shit that you can say. On television.
Right.
And they somehow shit remains a swear word.
Caca.
Who gives a fuck? Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They're all like really juvenile
releasing the
words,
brown trout.
Poo-poo and all that kind of thing. But still.
Or I guess restocking the pond with brown trout. I could go on talking about...
I don't know where you get all this. It doesn't seem like you to me. You must have been at a cocktail party dressed as a Viking.
No, I was...
To pick up all these
I was dressed as a turd. See, I would enjoy that if it was a scatological table, if that was our theme.
Everyone dressed as a piece of crap?
Yeah, or like you could dress as a toilet or a plunger. That'd be more fun. So anyway, it's Viking. So
what are the other tables? And like, can you immediately haggle to be at a better table?
No, you can't. I wish. I believe one's like gangsters and malls, and then one's 20s.
That's so much better than Vikings.
I know.
How did he pick them out of a sombrero?
No, they picked them in some bad way. Not the brilliant sombrero way. So I would appreciate sombrero more. So anyway.
It was for a birthday.
No, this is, it's like this ball that, I don't go to balls. I'm not a ball person. It's this exclusive LA ball thing. But I am someone who's like, ooh, you have to be invited. It's some elite thing. I shouldn't be so quick to decide I don't want to go.
Right.
But usually when I talk myself into going to something just because like, ooh, a chance to stand on the red carpet at this thing, I'm always like, that's not anything I need to do. Anyway, this is not that though. It's not like a career thing. It's just my friend is part of this like group and they're throwing this costumey thing and it's the 107th ball they've ever thrown and blah, blah, blah. And like there's this, they have a grandfathered in liquor license so they can serve till 4 a.m. But it's like, I barely even drink anymore. But anyway, if my friend is listening to this, which he probably will be, thank you for the invite. I had a lovely time. I'm sorry that
What did you wear?
I don't know, but on the phone...
Did you tweet a picture of it?
Yeah, I did. I don't know. On the phone with him, I said, I'm like, so like, could this just be like you wear your regular clothes and put a Viking hat on? And no. Hell no. Hell no. The invite...
That sounded like a perfect compromise
The
to me.
invite came with a little extra card in it explaining what fancy dress is, because it's a fancy dress ball, and it means something, like it's a real costume.
You have to be formal, a formal Viking.
No, it just means not regular clothes and not something. I don't know. It's a whole thing that I don't know about.
No
so
street
anyway,
clothes.
Yeah. So I went to try on costumes this past weekend because like I got this list of costume stores and there's rentals, and I didn't have a meltdown like I would trying on bathing suits, but I had a what the hell am I doing kind of thing, because these rental costumes have this like really hard breastplate, and I banged my face on it because I was I did. I was pulling it over my head because I didn't untie the thing in the back. So I'm like, first of all, my face is throbbing now, and I look really stupid, and they're all really skimpy, and I was just like, what am I doing? Like, this is awful. And then the ones that are prepackaged I didn't like. And then I was like, I don't feel this real big need to do this. It's going to cost a lot of money to get the costume together. It's just not me. Maybe I will just see if I can back out and not go. And then I was thinking, I would just be honest with my friend, because we've been friends forever, and I feel like I'm not proud of this, but I don't think it would surprise anyone that I flaked on something. I have a real big flaky streak inside me, sort of like a crunchy cookie center of something that's flaky.
Have you ever flaked on me?
I don't think so.
I don't think you have.
You've never tried to get me
I feel very proud. Yeah, well, I don't
dress up
try to
in
get you to do
costume.
stuff like that. Yeah, that's
right.
true. I usually just try to get you to go get a drink somewhere.
I don't think I've ever flaked.
I don't think so.
Right. So
and in New York, where you're allowed to flake more.
I know.
I
Well,
think.
you know why? Because
I think you get more of a flake pass there.
But you didn't, like, if you lived in New York, then I have a feeling I would have flaked more.
Oh, yeah,
but it
I was always
more
visiting.
Special. Yeah. So let's get to that in a second. So, but anyway, I was like, okay, I'll just be honest. And then I thought, is it actually more humane if I make up a lie for why I can't go? Because then so it's this whole table, and then I imagine my friend...
Because then you're not rejecting his concept.
Right.
You're just saying, I have the flu or whatever.
Yeah, because then I was imagining him explaining to the table why, a couple people from the group aren't there. And, oh, yeah, because, she couldn't find a costume and she realized she didn't want to go. Doesn't sound as good as, like, she had this thing that she can't get out of or whatever. So then, yeah, so that was my conundrum, is, like, I wasn't going to lie at all because I feel like I don't want to do that to my friend. But then I thought, is that actually a selfish choice, to be honest? But then I thought, but if this guy were to find out that I had lied, if it were me and I found out the person lied, even if it was to spare my feelings, I would still feel like, why did they make that choice? Don't they feel like they can be honest with me? What do you think?
I think almost any costume party, if you blow it off and then your excuse later is, I couldn't find the right costume and just didn't want to, show up anyway, the host that missed you at said party would probably say, you should have come anyway.
Right.
Like this whole, you absolutely cannot show up without putting on a Viking costume thing really bothers me. It's really unfair to put that restriction. Either he could have said, here's a list of things, and whatever you choose, that'll determine what table you're going to be at.
Ooh.
Which is how he should do it next year.
Yeah. He's not the host. That's the thing.
Oh, okay.
It's like he has a table at this thing.
He was helping you to get into this elite thing.
He's a member of this group that's throwing the party.
Uh-huh.
The costumeteers. I just called them that. He's a member of this.
He must be so proud to be part of a group that does these things.
I think so.
Like, do they all have sex with each other at the end of the night?
It's possible.
Really?
I don't
got
know.
Out of there?
No, I don't know. All I know...
Did you leave one slipper behind?
All I know is when we were at the costumes, like all the costume stores have discounts for this ball going on right now. And she's like, have you ever been to this ball? And I said, no. And she's like, made this face like, you don't know what happens. And I'm thinking, I don't want to know what happens.
It's like Eyes Wide Shut or something.
That's, I maybe.
Well,
I doubt it.
Because you actually went to the thing, though, right? Or
no, it hasn't happened yet. By the time this airs, I will have gone. It's Friday. So anyway, I texted my friend, and I was like, I went costume shopping and I'm having trouble finding one and I'm feeling kind of pressed for time. How would it put you in a really tough spot if I were to bail on the festivities, blah, blah, blah. And then he called me and
you got the call back instead of a tweet back.
I did, text back. But I was pressed for time, so I didn't answer it because I wanted to be able to call back after I heard the message.
Right. Yeah, that's why. If he's listening to this.
I almost wasn't so honest in this moment. But so anyway, and then he's like, I really think you're overthinking this. Just go buy some $30 or $40 store-bought costume and put it on and come to the party and have a good time. And it's like, okay. I mean, there are these pretty cheap costumes that come in a little plastic bag. So I could just wear that. I mean, I get, and then I'm like, okay, fine. So I took away the option of flaking for that reason. So I guess I'm going to go now.
You're going to go in your cheap costume,
and everyone else is going to go in their authentic Viking. Oh, yeah,
people are
going
to go nuts.
Yes,
it's in
they are.
LA. It's probably a bunch of out-of-work actors.
I know. Some of the costume shops on the list are like actual Hollywood movie costume shops.
Yeah.
I could wear something from Waterworld.
Hollywood prop and costume or whatever.
Yes, that's one of them. Something Hollywood magic and props and other things like that.
Oh, man. I think you have to...
Stand my ground and be a flake.
No, I think you have... It sounds like you're committed to going now. Because when he came back and went, come on, just buy a cheap thing and do it. Like, as soon as somebody gives you that argument, like, come on, just do it. It's no big deal. And then you end the conversation with, all right, I'll do it.
I know.
Then it's really a nightmare when you try to...
Except then this is what I told myself. I was like, but if I pull the double flake, or whatever the appropriate term would be for when you actually flake after already threatening the flake.
Right.
Because I tried to preempt it.
Yeah.
He can't, even though he'll be upset, he can't be that surprised. I tried to preempt it.
You threatened him with you said
I'm in a flake.
It might not happen.
Yeah.
But I just really,
So I should have lied? Is that what we're deciding?
Yeah, or maybe, I'm trying to think if there's a way that you can cheat and dress the way you want to dress. Like, was there ever a Viking that didn't wear such a cliched outfit? It's Vikings in that movie, How to Train Your Dragon. You could go as a dragon.
Well, that'd be
That'd
simple.
be even more, it's even more elaborate.
That's the thing.
It's even more elaborate. But isn't part of what you're shying away from is that the lady Viking outfits are all like they overdo the sexy thing, like it's too
I'm
too
not
much about cleavage and all that.
Yeah, that's part of what I'm shying away from is that there's nothing that I would feel comfortable wearing. Like in one of those things that I tried on where my face was throbbing because I banged it on the breastplate as I was pulling it over my head. If you turn the wrong way and the wind blows, like you're naked on the back.
Yeah.
There's a cape, but there's nothing else to hold your whole. And plus, it's really uncomfortable. I like to be comfortable. I would like to go to a party where you can wear pajamas.
It's gonna be chilly. Well, that's the thing.
Why can't I be at a pajama table?
Why can't there be a pajama table?
Oh, that'd be so much better.
Every table, it sounds to me also like they go out of their way to make every table something where the women are going to be pretty sexy. And the dudes are going to get, a free ride to wear something obnoxious. I
feel like that was part of the choice of Vikings was so that the women could be scantily clad. And now, and my brief tour of costume shops, the other people I saw trying to find costumes from different tables, they didn't look like people I want to hang out with. I am such an asshole. It seems
like a sorry crew. Like, it seems like I'm always kind of baffled by how into Halloween everyone gets every year. But at least it's coming. Mm-hmm. It's only once a year.
Right.
This seems just so random. It's like, hey, it's February.
Why couldn't I be at the Egyptian table? Because I have if there is one, because I have a Cleopatra costume, which I've
You just have one sitting around?
Yes.
Wear that to the Viking table.
You think?
Yes. Cleopatra, close enough.
Really?
If you're comfortable in it and it looks good.
I am. I've been Cleopatra for Halloween for like the last 7 years. I've had to find new friends and a new party each time because I can't repeat. I've got a headdress.
Perfect.
I have
just
a gold cape.
Just tell everyone you're a Viking queen. Who knows what they look like?
Oh my gosh. I'm so tempted to do this. I've got the fucking gold snakes at home.
Yeah. And
man.
And it'll be funny that it's a little, off or whatever.
I know. I could just go out and get a Viking helmet and I can wear that over my headdress.
Sounds perfect.
Oh, Doug. Thank you. You've made it possible for me to go to this party that I don't want to go to.
Yeah, but the story is going to be great.
The story of how...
Yeah, I mean, you're going to spend the entire party probably talking to people about whether they're comfortable or uncomfortable with what they had to end up wearing and
probably
how they got it and all that stuff. And
then I'll be like, okay, now tell me, be honest, did you try to flake as well? I already don't want to hear myself have these conversations. So anyway, for people who are just deciding whether to continue listening or not, let's keep listening because we're not going to talk about costumes the entire time.
Conversation is over.
Yeah, we're moving on.
We've settled it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about how Doug and I know each other. We initially met, we both used to do this show, Red Eye, on Fox News in New York, and I believe that I met you that way because I was working in that building, and I remember the producer was walking you in, and we met very briefly. But I think the way we actually met was I tweeted you because I was watching your stand-up, and that joke about, and I don't want to butcher it, but I'm going to anyway, so then you correct me, about if you don't like, you know what they say about Seattle, if you don't like the weather.
If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes and then shoot yourself in the face.
I love that. And I think I tweeted you about how funny that was.
I just brushed the dust off of that one because I was in Vancouver over the weekend. I knew people in Vancouver would have a good laugh over the weather being shitty in Seattle because Vancouver's, pretty similar, but just north of Seattle. So,
right.
But I'd be still burning in the place, complaining about the weather in Vancouver while burning Seattle. So that got a big laugh. But maybe next time I'm in Seattle, I'll say it about Vancouver.
That's good.
Sneaky.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if people are hearing this, they'll know what they can look forward to.
They'll be on to me and my my little local humor tricks.
Right. So I thought that was really funny, and then I think maybe you tweeted me back, and then we became friends, and then we
I immediately found you appealing because for some reason
I looked like someone who doesn't like to wear costumes.
On or around the time that you contacted me or mentioned me on your Twitter feed. I saw you on Red Eye.
Oh, okay.
Because whenever I'm flipping around at that time of night, 3 a.m. out here and midnight there, if I land on it, I usually watch it for a while especially then, because I was on it quite a bit and liked everybody, and also, liked some of the people they use as guests because they use comics that I know, like Amy Schumer and Greg Proops and people like that. So.
Right. So then we became friends, and then fast forward to
a lot of bonding over what it's like to be on Fox News
and not be conservative.
On a basically conservative channel, but on their version of a comedy talk show.
Right.
So it was all very silly. So it was easy to do. It was easy to go on and not be conservative because they didn't really push the conservativeness in our faces.
When it started, it was much more about being funny. And at a certain point it switched, and they didn't want people to be just making jokes anymore. They wanted you to state your opinion first, and then you could make a funny comment, but if you were going to go on there and not convey your political views, regardless of which side you're on, and just make jokes, that there was a push against that. I don't know where they are now, but I know that with me, that I was constantly pushed to be more opinionated.
Yeah, I think I just, I had the kind of bad experience that, it made me end up not doing the show anymore. And then, so I don't think we ever got to that point where we'd need to have that conversation.
Right.
But it was I used to call it the presidency, but now that I'm not that crazy about some things Obama's doing, I call it a regime change. And the change from George Bush to Obama is what happened to me on that show, is that once Obama was president, I started noticing how much more conservative everything was.
Right.
and on one episode in particular, I thought all of the topics and stuff on the show on my last show, I was already getting cold feet about being on the show before everything went bad with the whole Canada thing.
Yeah. Now what do you want to say about what
well,
happened?
It's I knew that I was going to come on the show with you and that we'd talk about how we know each other, so I knew Red Eye would come up, and I just want to say what I've when the subject comes up, I say it was just unfortunate timing that on that show, that the last time I did it, I was sitting there, and Greg Gutfeld had a very anti-Obama Gregalogue, that he wanted to do. And he was running parts of it by me before the show. And I was just kind of like saying, oh, I don't know. It just seems more, it doesn't seem very, very funny. Like it's not ready yet. Almost like kind of, not tricking him, but just trying to persuade him to not do that right before saying, and now here's Doug Benson with some comedy, like I just sort of felt like, hey, do that on another episode where I'm not going to be here. And so then he didn't do it. But the first topic was Canada wants to pull some of their troops out of Afghanistan. So it just became this whole table of, and I'm guilty of participating, became a whole table of just making jokes about Canada's military.
Right.
Then a clip of that, this is like a few days later, a clip of that gets on YouTube, and one person in Canada is fired up enough to say, look at what these assholes are saying. And if you look at the clip, it's ridiculous because 2 Canadian troops had died in Afghanistan and were sent home in a box like around the same time that started airing. It's not like people in Canada all watch Red Eye on Fox News. Like I doubt anybody would have seen or cared about it if it didn't become a YouTube clip.
Right.
And then once the YouTube clip started going around, then lots of people in Canada got very angry at me and everyone on Red Eye. But in my particular case, I felt like, well, the fact that I'm sitting there going, I didn't even know Canada had a military, and I think Canada is where you go if you don't want to fight, which is like, they're not the greatest jokes in the world. You get the topics and you just try to think of funny things to say, and you feel like you have to participate.
Yeah.
You feel like
do.
you have to say something.
You won't be back on the show
and
if
sitting
you
there
don't.
just going, Canada's awesome, what are you talking about?
Oh my
doesn't
God, that'd
add
be
to
their
the
last
comedy.
show.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
ironically this was. But.
Yeah. So I just said silly things that I thought, well, from my stoner perspective, it'd be funny to just seem completely ignorant about Canada. But then I was kind of laughing at the mean things that some of the other people on the panel and Greg were saying. And so then, I just got, a lot of death threats, but also what concerned me more was just that anyone would be angry at my comedy because it's pretty, I'm usually not saying things to make people angry. And every once in a while you're going to touch on a subject that's sensitive to an individual, but this pissed off an entire country. Like the Prime Minister of Canada said, we want an apology.
Oh, I forgot about that part of it.
Yeah. And I was just like, I love Canada. And also, that is shitty that people died in our stupid war that were from Canada. So I went on and I said, I was just making a joke. I'm sorry. I went on kind of a news show in Canada. And the guy, and it was one of those satellite interviews, which are always hard to do, where I couldn't see him, only hear him. And I'm looking into a camera and apologizing. And so I just, it was just very sincere. And I didn't even try to make any jokes. I just tried to make it like, the timing was terrible and it was the things I was saying were dumb, but I was joking. Like I think still part of the disconnect was it says Fox News at the bottom during this entire clip, and it doesn't say comedy show. It just says Fox News. And and a lot of people on Fox News laugh at a lot of things that are going on in the world all day long. Right. So that show doesn't seem that much sillier if you just see a clip of it. Yeah. So I apologized, and I also said, and this is the thing that kind of was unfortunate. I said, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say anything that would, make people so unhappy, and I'm also not. I have no plans to go on that show again. That show is a comedy show about politics, and that's probably, maybe not be the smartest place for me to, do my comedy, And so then the guys that I like so much on the show, and I still like them, they all had a "you threw us under the bus" kind of reaction to it, because they didn't want to apologize. They did do an apology on air that was like written and kind of one of those apologies that was just sort of like, "Sorry you took it the wrong way," as opposed to "I'm sorry I said it." Our
words hurt you,
Yeah. So I haven't talked to any of them really since then, but I still, I still think they were, as conservatives go, they were pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean,
they were fun to
really
hang out with
guys.
after the show and drink and stuff, and they were always very, that was the thing is the many times I did the show before that, I'd go on, I'd say George Bush is an idiot or whatever, and they'd all sit around and laugh. No one would be like, hey, come on now. Right. And they also would promote the shit out of all my pot-related stuff. Like, they were really good about saying, go see Super Jaime, and they'd show clips from it one time they had me on, just interviewed me about Super Jaime, which is pretty cool for Fox News to sit and talk to a guy about how he made a movie about smoking weed. So that was great. That, they were great to me. So kind of sucks that it ended up the way it did. But I also, whenever I do watch it now, it's, it's a pretty, anti-liberal kind of attitude going around the table.
Yeah. I had a couple things where some of my comments were used to show, like, look what the conservatives are saying, and I was like, that's.
Yeah, there was one website that called me a Fox News comic, and had a picture of me right next to Glenn Beck. I was like, come on, he is funny, but come on.
Yeah, but hey. You could be in worse company.
It wasn't a picture of me next to Gallagher. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but honestly, I don't know that I can fault that happened to me, because I was making the jokes. I mean, they weren't. I guess I do feel like some of the things I said, I can see why people thought I was conservative. Not, I mean, I didn't completely come out.
There's a playing along that happens. Like, I never went on that show and sat there and, like, because they'd always have a pretty Fox News anchor as a guest also. They'd always have somebody pretty conservative on there.
Right.
But I would never sit there and argue with them back and forth ever about anything.
Right.
Because their attitude about me was like, oh, dumb pot comic. And my attitude about them was that, oh, they're just a, anchor for Fox or whatever. So I didn't really, I don't think I had an argument with anybody ever on that show. I didn't treat it like that. I didn't treat it like politically incorrect.
No, I didn't either.
I treated it like, let's all try to be fun and have fun together.
Right.
And they also, 70% of the time, are talking about news stories that aren't conservative or liberal. They're just news stories where something weird happened and everyone just makes jokes about it.
Yeah. It was just a few times where I would be on the show and there'd be like a story about, Janine Garofalo or Bill Maher. And I felt the expectation was we are going to take shots at them. And I didn't want to, So.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so then I moved, but I do love all the red eye guy. Like, I feel like I am shooting myself in the foot, and not even career wise, just friendship wise. I do appreciate all the times they put me on, and I do miss those guys. Okay, so then I moved out here, and I forget at what point I realized that you were someone I wanted to talk to about the fact that I had auditioned for the Adam Carolla show. I think when you and I talked about it, I had already auditioned, and I have my second round of auditions coming up.
I think I got the, because I know people involved in the Crow show.
Okay.
I think somebody said it's between you and blah, 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 and named a few people.
Okay.
And that's when I weighed in with that person saying, I think it should be Allison.
Oh, thank you.
and then basically got in touch with you to say whatever I could say.
You gave me lots of helpful hints and pointers.
But to also kind of help you to back up my endorsement of you. Now I'm going to let her know what I think she needs to do, because I told them that I think this is how Allison is and why she'd be perfect.
Right. Well, it's a shame that I didn't work out.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So the things you told me were, be prepared. They like when you're prepared. What else did you tell me?
Because you're the news girl. As a guest, I don't need to be prepared.
Right.
I need to be prepared to watch Adam talk.
Yes.
That's what I need to be prepared for.
What kind of preparation do you do for that?
I just get high and show up. Yeah.
So it was be prepared. I think you gave me some pointers on how to disagree without, like, coming out guns blazing, disagreeing. Like, I think you're like, what you don't think that Adam wants to have, like, a real head-to-head debate.
Who does? It's supposed to be a funny show.
Exactly. So,
yeah.
So,
if you disagree with him about something, which I'm sure there's not a ton of things you disagree with him about, but if there is something, don't just sit there and just be.
Don't shit on his point. That's
also it's like it's like being in anything where improv is happening.
Yes.
Agree, but throw in your little, find a way to disagree without stopping it cold, without ending the discussion, because that's what I know about Adam is chances are he's going to want to talk about it for another 15 minutes. So if you go, I think that's stupid and you're wrong, then where is he? Then like, well, all right, but I'm going to keep talking about it.
Yeah.
Don't do that again.
Right. Or he'll dig in. He'll be like,
well, that's what I mean. Like,
and that is never something that feels good. Like, if that ever happens, you're thinking, oh, fuck.
You don't want it from the conversation to be from a place of anger from him towards you.
Right.
You want him to rant about whatever it is he's ranting about. And so, you don't necessarily have to agree all the time, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, I would say the few, and I don't feel like that's a problem for me. The few times that I have made missteps regarding that are when I sort of get lulled into thinking I'm just having a conversation as opposed to remembering this is and sometimes it happens in the studio where, especially as I was getting more comfortable but still kind of finding my way, I would just sort of respond as I would if we were just talking, and that is not always helping the improv go to the next place. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I'm trying to think if there were other. So anyway, so you gave me
I know
a bunch
another
of,
one.
Yes, I do too.
You don't want to say it?
I will. It was dress sexy.
Look nice, because
nice,
even though it's just people are just listening to it, Adam has to work with you, and it's just because it's radio doesn't mean show up in sweatpants.
Right. Which I
not that you would.
Well, actually, here's the thing: is that I didn't I always dressed up. And wore makeup and everything for the longest time, and especially because we were streaming the show. So I was always very well put together. And then I had surgery in December. I had some ovarian cysts removed, and around that time, I forget why we initially stopped streaming, but the cameras were being fixed, and then it was like, well, let's wait until we're in the new studio to turn the cameras on. And we're building a new studio back there. I don't know if you saw it, but and I came back to work 6 days after the surgery, and I wasn't really ready to come back. And at that time, I was still healing, so I'm like, no one's gonna see me. I'm just gonna wear sweatpants, and so I was wearing really just comfortable pajama almost clothes for the longest time, and it was so much better.
But you had the gig for a while before you did that.
Yeah. It took
and
a year
then an excuse to do
point.
that.
Yes.
Like, who's going to be like, oh, you're in your sis, shut up, put on some pants.
Right. But so now.
But also sexy. Sexy was also a part of it. Like if I were Adam, I would hire a girl who comes in looking hot, as opposed to a girl that just making an effort in that area is probably.
See, I don't know really though in the end how important that is. There's no way that I would
certainly
ever find
doesn't
out.
make a big thing of it.
No.
Like he's not the kind of guy that says to me anything about, maybe Scarlett Johansson or something like that. But
oh no,
he's never like, oh, that girl over there.
Johansson is a bitch.
Oh really?
He just suspects she's probably a bitch.
That's it.
Yes.
That's why I know.
But
that's why I know he thinks she's hot, is because he also thinks she's a bitch.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like he's always. There's more going on than just whether a woman's attractive or not. Like,
right.
He's not one of those guys that's just like standing on the corner whistling at somebody. But I just had a feeling that he does want. Somebody attractive in that position.
Well, good thing I am. Just kidding. It makes me sound like an asshole.
But you know what really would have secured the gig for you if on day one you showed up in a Viking costume.
Oh my God. You're reaching for your list. What's going on now?
I'm trying to get you to do the deleted tweet segment.
Oh, okay. We can do that. We have a little song that we play.
Yeah.
Gary.
Feel that beat. I believe we have a deleted tweet, not so sweet. Maybe that thought is incomplete. Think I'll bid a quick retreat. I believe we have a deleted tweet.
Yeah, I don't know. I am always surprised and dismayed when people include me in a negative tweet about me where it didn't need to.
Yeah, they could have just written your name. But instead they go at Alison Rosen.
Right.
and then
I'm
their
like, I feel like I'm
thing.
eavesdropping on this.
Yeah.
Thank you for including me in that.
Yeah, they want you to hear it, or they want you to read it.
Yeah.
And then in my case, I find a lot of times people just want me to get mad And because sometimes I will retweet when somebody says something really obnoxious, just because I think it's kind of funny to show people how obnoxious it can get.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, lots of my followers then write mean things to that person, so I get to kind of be like satisfied that.
Right.
And then some people will argue, well, you're just giving that person the attention that they crave.
Don't feed the trolls.
Yeah.
I've been on all sides of this one.
Yeah, I say you're giving them attention, but it's such negative attention that if they thrive on it, then that's just that person's mentally ill.
Right.
And either way, it's it's no skin off of me. I can do, that's what by retweeting it, that's the end of it for me usually, and then I get to read a lot of people saying nasty things to them. Sometimes they go too far. Sometimes the people defending me will they'll drop the other F word and stuff like that, and telling
the other F word.
Yeah, they'll say fag or whatever,
right.
and it's just like then it makes me sad. Going, I didn't bring it. I didn't want to point him. I didn't want him to be called that name. Right. For disagreeing with me about something or saying that I'm a shitty comic or something.
I know.
You know what I mean? People bring in a whole other thing into it, like.
Sometimes I find my people go not far enough though, or they agree with the person who says something mean about me. I'm like, wait a minute, this is backfiring.
Yeah. I love Alison, but you're right about her being terrible.
Hey, give her a break. She's trying to find her way. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I found my way.
Yeah. Well.
So usually I don't. I actually, one of my New Year's resolutions, or perhaps my only one. No, I'm going to say one of them, but I left the slots for other ones blank. I only made one, but I'm not saying I'm adhering to just that one. Was I'm not going to engage with negative tweets unless, a caveat, the person has a lot of followers.
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't that
sometimes
shitty?
I'll click on it and I'll see that they have 0 followers and I'll go, no one read that but me.
Yeah.
I don't need to mention it to anybody because no one's seeing it. They don't have a voice.
Right.
And I DM people back quite a bit.
Oh, you do?
Because I get so many people saying,
but then they can't DM
RT, my birthday. Exactly. So this is what happens. It's my birthday. Can I get an RT? And I write back, happy birthday. And they write back, well, that was nice, but you wrote to me directly. And I can't write. Twitter won't let me write back to you. People write to me. Because that's the thing you have to remember about Twitter is that every person that says something to you on Twitter, it might be their first tweet or their first day.
Yes, that's true.
And and even people that have been doing it for a while don't understand it.
Right.
But even you got to take into account that it's just like, it's just a constantly moving and growing thing. So when somebody says something, like I get all the time the tweet, oh, are you following 420 people on purpose? Because I follow 420 people so that everyone will know, hey, I'm probably not going to add you because I have the perfect number.
Unless someone dies.
Well, they still come back with, why don't you get rid of... I've had people go through my list of people that I follow and say, get rid of this person and add me.
They're curating.
And I'm like, really? You're really taking that shot that person isn't a genuine friend of mine?
Right.
Because I follow some people just because they're famous or interesting, but most of the people I follow, I know.
Yeah.
One way or another. And so it's weird for them to say, get rid of that person and add me. And again, I write back to them and I try to, it's funny, if someone writes something mean to you, if you write back not a mean response, but just what's that about?
Right.
What? I'll just write, what? Question mark? Then they'll write back, oh, just trying to get your attention. Or, oh, no, I'm really a big fan, but I have a problem with this one thing. Like, people will back it down immediately. It's like being out in public with somebody who says something shitty to you. If you go, why'd you just say that? They're pretty likely to go, oh, I'm sorry. And
maybe I'll bend my New Year's resolution to try that. But in my experience, that only happened once. Where someone was like, I'm a big fan, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. For the most part, you know what, though? I'm trying to think if I ever write back and say what. But it's also different to be a woman. It is.
It's just different. It's just so much more the things that they write to you. Like, there's only, they can call me the other F word. They'd be wrong, but, they could say that. They could go to that, because that does make any straight guy kind of like, hey, why are you calling me that?
Right.
Or a gay guy. It's a terrible thing to be called. And then... what else could they say to me, really? They always go to, smoke more weed, idiot,
Yeah.
It's an easy joke to make, but, people, I go on TV talk shows and people make that joke. I can't say anything to Chelsea Handler without her calling me a dumb stoner. That's why I stopped doing her show.
And
they don't want me.
No, you made the decision first.
But that was her. Hey, Larry Miller just walked by. That's
Miller.
exciting. But yeah, that's what.
You never know who will walk into Ace Broadcasting.
It was pretty much their decision. I was on thin ice with that show from the get-go. Like, after the first time I did it, they were kind of like, oh, we're not sure if we want to have you back.
Did they have you on the round table?
Yeah, the round table thing. And then, a few more things happened. And then at one point, I had something coming up where I thought, I might be, her guests are not that huge. Maybe I could sit down with her and just have a talk about my laytest project.
Right.
And they passed on that. They were like, no, we don't want to interview you. Then I think I maybe did it one more time, and then they just stopped calling, and I haven't been. It's not like I've been begging to get on. The show, it is what it is. But to me, she was just always, because you show up with your own jokes for the topics, but she gets to go first. Mm-hmm. And if she says anything,
it's heavily edited too.
Yeah, but if she says anything that's similar to what you're going to say, you throw that out and try to, come up with something else, or you ad-lib something. But she had a tendency whenever I would try a joke, especially if it didn't get a laugh from her audience, which the audience is all her, they're there to see her.
Right.
If it didn't get a laugh, then she'd just be like, "Good one, stoner." Like, she'd go to that every time, and I was just like, "Listen." How much pot I smoke has nothing to do with the fact that I'm a successful comedian who can write a decent joke, and sometimes you're gonna on a situation like that you're gonna whiff one.
Yeah.
That's what I love about podcasting is, like, if you say something that's not funny, we're moving on right away.
I think we should just stay right here.
There's no dwelling on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that
or there's nobody saying what you just said is dumb.
How many times have you done the show with Adam?
No, that's the thing is he's I think I'm friends with Adam because that's one of his areas where he's insanely liberal, is that he has no issues with somebody who smokes a ton of weed.
Yeah, that's
so he's not going to use that to attack me. He may have done it once or twice. I mean, anybody's going to do it because it's such an easy go-to. Mm-hmm. It's such an easy thing to say about me,
So I want to talk to you about. We haven't even talked about relationships or anything, but
we're 52 minutes in.
I know, and we've got people who've been waiting on the phones for a while. So
let's take some calls about relationships.
Okay.
And then I'll talk about it.
About your experiences
from my own
with
personal
them.
Experiences.
Fabulous.
With them.
We now have a plan. Okay. Now, none of these calls are really about relationships, but the first one is vaguely. So let's talk to Randy on line 1, except that Gary has his headphones pushed back and he's talking to, God damn it, Larry Miller is ruining my show.
Larry Miller is chatting with Gary, and so Gary has no idea we're trying to go to the calls.
Gary, come in, Gary.
Gary here.
We'd like to talk to line 1.
Gary here. Hello, Randy.
Hi, Allison. Hi, Doug.
Hi.
What's up?
Hi.
Is this Randy?
I'm loving I'm loving your podcast, Allison. I think you're awesome. And Doug, I'm such a huge fan. I always come out to see you when you come to Philly.
Yeah, it's
Thank
Randy.
you.
Can I say your last name on the show?
Yeah.
Lawson?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hi. I've seen her tweets.
Hi.
Yeah, she tweets. She has funny tweets, and she's very creative with the name tags when she comes to my shows, because that's part of Doug Loves Movies is people wear name tags so that they get picked to participate. And last week she suggested something on Twitter that I actually used on the show. Like I get category suggestions for one of the games we play. It was for the Leonard Maltin game, and the category was Culk Fiction. Culk, C-U-L-K, and it's movies that have one of the Culkin acting dynasty,
good.
like
really
Kieran or Rory or Macaulay.
Thanks. I love me a good Culkin,
Well, that's awesome that you're calling into the show.
Yeah, when Allison tweeted that you were going to be on, it's like worlds colliding, my two favorites together. So I had to call in.
Thank you. So what can we answer for you?
Okay, well, I'm a chick in a mostly dude creative department, and it's dudes with strong personalities who are also mostly a good deal older than me and more experienced. And that wasn't kind of tough enough to survive in. Now we've kind of restructured, and I'm managing them.
Oh, wow.
So I know that you've been kind of a lady in the workplace dealing with dudes who are great, but have kind of tougher exteriors. And I'm a little bit being assertive and being a leader is not quite my strong suit yet. And if you had any advice into kind of how to manage that, that'd be awesome.
Well, how is it going so far? I mean, how are they treating you now that you're managing them?
It's still pretty fresh. I mean, they've been nice about it, but there's kind of a strange vibe. And I'm sure part of it is in my head because of, I'm turning it into my issue, I guess. But there is kind of a strange, like, a few comments here and there where I've critiqued something and they've disagreed, and there's been a few little, like, this isn't my first day on the job kind of comments. But in general, they've been cool about it, but I feel there's a vibe that could go wrong pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, I think something that I have had to work on is, I don't want to speak for all women, but as women, there's this tendency to soft pedal what you're trying to say and to always be very aware of people's feelings, and to try to put it in a way, like in the way that as women we've learned, this is how you communicate your feelings, this is how you communicate things without being a threat to anyone, and to try to smooth things over. And all of that stuff in the workplace doesn't always do you any favors. I think sometimes, I mean, obviously it's good to be a decent, nice person. I'm not saying be an asshole, but at the same time, all that sort of talking around an issue and trying to put it in a way that another woman would understand what you mean by it might actually just confuse things and make them potentially tune out or not really take you seriously, because your job as a manager isn't to make friends, really. It's to manage these people, and being direct is probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, I know. You're so right. It's just kind of an easier said than done kind of thing.
Oh, I know.
Totally
yeah,
right.
and you risk being their attitude can quickly become that you're a bitch just because you're telling them how it is.
Right.
So it's a weird dynamic
Before
for sure.
I kind of found a nice role in being like kind of their little sister in the group kind of thing. Like I found our chemistry like that. So now I'm afraid I'm going to turn into that. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think regardless of gender, though, when you go from being an equal in the workplace to all of a sudden being people's supervisor, there's just weird feelings. And it just takes a little while to adjust to that, regardless. But I don't know, Doug, you're a dude. What do you think?
Well, I always like having, lady bosses, but I've mostly had them in show business kind of situations where they tend to just be tougher in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like they could be just as bad as a male boss in terms of, shutting you down or telling you what to do, and when it comes to my other, relationships with women I worked with, they're mostly stand-up comics. Mm-hmm. So they're never wallflowers, Right. So I'm used to women pretty much telling me, treating me as a equal, and then me as a result being forced to do the same. Mm-hmm. But it's hard. It's hard for both sides.
Yeah.
That's why it's taken so long to even get to this point where we are all working together so much.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry we don't have any solid, this is exactly what you need to do advice.
Right. But I mean, I know that I wish I could remember what it was that I Googled, but I actually read something online that gave me some inspiration to sort of bring stuff up in a workplace situation that I kept putting off, asking for something that I wanted, that I felt like I deserved. And then I read something that said, sort of essentially what I was saying earlier, which is that women automatically think their role is to smooth things over and to make everyone feel okay. And men don't walk around thinking that that's their role. And that makes it easier for them to bring things up at work. So I just realized that I'm not really advocating for myself here, because I'm trying to make everyone like me.
Yeah, no, that's such a good point. That's so true.
It is tough, though. It's tough. I mean, especially if you're kind of a people pleaser like I am, then it's really hard.
I am, definitely.
Yeah. So I'd say just keep in mind that you
you need to grow a pair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
just be more man-like, but still be
Delightful.
you. Still
Yes,
be a
yes,
nice person.
Yes, be yourself, but just be aware that if you try to get everyone to like you, you're potentially sacrificing their respecting you.
Awesome. No, that's great advice.
Yay!
Yay!
I'm gonna hang up this phone and
Madonna.
grow a pair right away.
Do it now. Okay.
Thank you so
now,
much.
how do you feel about costume parties? Were you were you listening earlier when we were talking about costume parties? No, you weren't. Okay. Well, regardless of that, earlier we were talking about costume parties. How do you feel about them?
I think can I answer for her?
Yes.
I think Randy would be good at costume parties because she's really creative.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think
Thanks,
she'd come up
Doug.
with a good costume. But we were talking. Allison was talking about how she just doesn't want the whole hassle of getting a sexy Viking costume. Doesn't seem worth it.
Yeah.
Like a Flavor Flav clock with your sexy Viking hat.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus,
Turn up a notch.
I think you're underselling it. I think costume party is something you go to around Halloween. This sounds like a costume ball or
It
something.
is.
Yeah, it's a
serious.
ball, and it's
yeah.
it's too serious. It's
Yes.
too.
It
It's
has
for lack of a
rules.
better word, it's queer.
What kind of costume party are you mandated? What kind of costume you're going to wear upon invitation?
Yeah, like
that's,
this.
I
You're at this
know!
I'm not
table,
okay
so
with
you
that.
have to dress this way.
Right. Thank you. That's for the birds.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for calling, Randy. Good luck.
Thanks so much, guys. You guys are the best.
We
All
have
right,
your back.
We'll see you next time I'm in Philly.
Will do.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Okay, let's talk to Pat on line 5.
Yeah, this seems crazy to me.
Hello.
Pat, hello.
Hey,
What's going
Alison,
on?
my daughters and I listen to Adam's show, and we're big fans. We were big fans of Teresa, but you've done so well.
Oh, thank you.
Just trust your gut. You're great.
Thank you so much.
Love you too, Doug.
Just keep trying, Allison. You'll get
You'll
there.
find your stride.
Hey, I have a game, a movie trivia game that my friends and I play that's really easy, and I can explain it real quickly if you'd like, Doug.
I understand it's like 6 degrees of separation, or
It's
6
like the
degrees
pro
of Kevin
version.
Bacon.
We call it in one. So what the rule is, you name 2 actors,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to name. The answer is the common actor that they both co-starred with, but not necessarily in the same movie. Well, not in the same movie.
Yeah, I could do that.
All right, so
We're
you
gonna
want me to
play
give
it-
you
we're
one
gonna
or
play
give
it-
you an example first?
We're gonna play it right now.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
play
I
it
don't
right
think
now.
I don't think I need an example. I think you could just.
Okay, I'll give you an easy one first. You can play too, Teresa. Sorry, I didn't mean it that way. All right.
Whoa,
Wait a
whoa,
minute.
whoa, whoa,
Whoa.
whoa! You
Was
just
that on
call,
purpose?
what show did you just call?
No, I know. I'm
He
kidding.
did it on
Okay.
purpose.
All right.
All right.
Ha 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 ha.
Here's the
ha,
clues:
ha,
Adam
ha.
Sandler and Scatman Crothers.
All right, so I need a movie, or either of us need a movie that was.
No, you need an
Someone
actor that
who
they
was-
both.
an
has been-
actor who's worked with both of them.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're saying this is an easy one. Oh, it's
Right.
because Jack Nicholson was in The Shining with Scatman Crothers, and he was in Anger Management with Adam Sandler.
Bingo.
Good job. What's the
All right, you
hard
ready for
one
another
like?
one?
Yeah.
That was an easy one, Teresa.
Allison
All right,
would be
the
good
clues
at this.
are
but
Tom
Teresa's-
Hanks and George Carlin.
Okay. Tom Hanks and George Carlin. I can't think of any movies that George Carlin.
Tom Hanks and George Carlin. This is kind of rough. There's got
I
to be
feel like-
some good ones. It's the
What has
trouble is
George
you got to
Carlin
think of
been
some
in?
George Carlin stuff. He was
Right.
he was in Prince of Tides with Nick Nolte and
Barbra
Streisand,
Streisand.
both of whom have never been in
Our
a movie
rules, they
with.
don't have to be our rules. We only use actors to narrow it down a little bit,
What do you
not
mean?
actresses.
Oh.
Sexist game you're calling
I know,
us with.
It's terrible, but it makes.
Shouldn't you have revealed that was part of the game?
Well, I said actors.
I still don't think Tom Hanks has been in a movie with Nick Nolte. So that's a
So
dead.
it's
That's a
not
dead
that.
end.
Okay, what else has George
What
Carlin
else has
been
George
in?
Carlin been in? He was in Outrageous Fortune, but that was Bette Midler and Lily Tomlin, or was again we
They
can't.
were in Outrageous Fortune and Ruthless People? No, not Ruthless People. Big Business?
There was kind of like a run there of combinations like
Right.
that. It might have been Shelley Long and Bette Midler in one of them.
Again, just actors.
Yeah, I know. But if I could go actresses, I'd
We're
say
just trying
Shelley
to-
Long was
yeah.
in something with him, and then she was in
Money Pit.
Money Pit with Tom Hanks. But we're just doing actors.
Okay.
It's the trouble is that George Carlin doesn't have a long enough list of. Oh, wait a second.
Oh,
No, that's no good too, because I don't think.
what movie were you going to say?
I was thinking George Carlin was in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
He was.
But
Okay.
but who else was in that?
There was
not-
Alex Winter.
Winter.
Keanu. Has Keanu been in anything with?
Hasn't been in anything with Tom Hanks. right? That's who we're trying to match it up with, right?
Yeah.
Right. You want a clue?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dogma.
Oh, yeah. George Carlin was in Dogma.
Oh, okay.
And
Jason Lee, Kevin Smith.
Matt Damon. Chris Rock, Alanis
Matt Damon.
Morissette.
Matt Damon's who it is.
Matt Damon was in what with Tom Hanks?
Gary knows. I don't know.
You're right.
Yeah,
He was.
right.
What was he in with Tom Hanks?
This movie called Saving Private Ryan.
That little movie where Matt Damon virtually cameos in it, but it's valid.
All right, you want one more?
But I didn't know this is such a. Not only is it all men, it's war movies and Dogma. All right, but that was good. This is a fun game.
It's a great game.
I didn't say that.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
All right,
It's a sexist game.
You want one more?
Yes, please.
All right, Tom Cruise.
Okay.
Craig T. Nelson.
Oh, Coach.
Well, can you just go all the way to that they were in a movie together?
Well, if they were, you can. We
They
throw
were.
that out.
They were both
if
in.
They were that you win. I guess
They were both in All the Right Moves.
Oh, they were.
Okay, that's pretty funny right there. Because on Hold, he had the same issue with the Tom Cruise one where he tried to do Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer, and I was like, well, Top Gun.
Yeah, and I changed it to have the same problem.
Yeah, that happens. But let me go about
it.
Do you
want to know how I was going, or do you want to just?
I'm going to try to think of how you were going to go.
Right.
It was Tom Cruise and who?
Craig T. Nelson.
Craig T. Nelson. So you could go. Wow, I'm having trouble finding one. Craig T. Nelson was in Family Stone.
And who was that Matthew McConaughey in that?
No, that was Owen Wilson.
Oh, right.
Or no, yeah. Wait, which Wilson?
I think it was
Luke
Owen.
Wilson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Luke Wilson was in that one. Anyway, what was yours?
Tom Cruise. Well, let's see. Craig T. Nelson in Silkwood with Kurt Russell.
Oh, that's a good one. And
So
Kurt
Kurt
Russell was in
Russell's
Vanilla Sky with Tom
Right,
Cruise.
right.
Nice.
And in Overboard with Goldie Hawn.
Yeah.
But that has
No
nothing to do with
actresses.
this. I know, damn it. Well,
All
thank you
actresses
for calling
are
in.
overboard.
Oh, you bet.
Thanks for calling
Hey,
in, Pat.
follow my daughter Molly Lathrop on Twitter. She's funny.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Bye.
LATHROP. Thank you guys. Love
Bye.
Bye, Pat from
Bye.
Arkansas.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about relationships, Doug.
Oh, okay. Well,
What's the deal with you and them?
first of all, no actresses, only actors. I'm getting up there and still single and loving it. Still thinking that maybe, marriage might not be in the cards for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm certainly at the point where I'm like, I'm not going to bother with kids unless there's like some, crazy adoption situation,
You can have them.
What do you
even
mean?
as an old person.
Oh, I know, but why? I look at some of these older, like, when Tony Randall had a kid when he was 80, I was just like, what? Who's that for?
Right.
At least that kid, he probably had, he probably was one of those guys that was pretty smart with his money through his long and storied career. So maybe he had enough money socked away that kid would be all right financially.
Right.
But still, to have an old dad who's just going to die before you even graduate high school or college seems weird. Seems, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. I could totally change my mind about it, but I travel constantly, and I'm still having fun doing that.
Right.
Like if I was staying put, if I was just in LA, then I'd be more likely to, fall into a relationship that I didn't see coming.
Right. Yeah. Now your traveling must make it really difficult to be in a relationship. Yes.
Well, it makes me not want to be in one because part of the fun about being on the road is meeting people and being single.
Is that a euphemism?
So it would take, just hanging out. I have a very social kind of crowd because everybody wants to smoke after my shows, and a lot of them are attractive women. So there's that, that I have to stop doing because, nobody that you're married to or is your girlfriend back at home wants you just out partying with people of the other sex. And then, or in my case, I wouldn't even, Anyway, I was gonna say partying with dudes is unpleasant. You just don't want your significant other partying with people, with strangers, out just having fun all the time.
Yeah.
Out there on the road, and so there's that, and then there's also the aspect of I've been in some relationships, and I'm pretty good at being monogamous and caring a lot about one person, and so there'd be that constantly missing that person while on the road. So it's like you're missing them and you can't have the kind of fun that you're accustomed to.
Right.
So then you're just in a prison cell in a hotel room waiting to go tell some jokes for a while and then go back to your prison cell. Ugh. and your planes and all that stuff. It's all, and I was just talking to somebody the other day about his girlfriend gave him the you're not home enough. It's like, well, but I'm out making a lot of money, and it's not like when I'm not home, I'm out purposefully doing things that exclude you.
Right.
But that's what happens in relationships. You got to find that person that you both want to be together the same amount.
Mm-hmm. So what's your friend going to do? Like, was he bringing this up to you?
He brought it up because it was a breakup situation.
Yeah.
He got out of that relationship because he can't, he just couldn't handle that she wanted more out of him that he couldn't give, especially because he's a he's a person that works hard and likes his work and makes good money, So she's sitting at home wishing you were there in a very nice house. Mm-hmm. And some women are great at that. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Some just take the, and vice versa.
Some understand that that's sort of the arrangement.
Yeah.
The
there's dudes out there that would happily be like a house husband.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's people that are good at it. I'd probably in another life, I'd probably be great at just staying at home with the kid or whatever, because you have to put up with the child will be crying a lot and needs attention, but also you're home all day, so you can do what I like to do, which is just watch TV all day long, Mm-hmm. But that's not going to happen for me. But what about your current? I heard you talking to Pete Holmes about your boyfriend.
Oh yeah, and yes, I am.
How is the? Because he's probably successful or trying to be at something, right?
He's both.
Yeah, there you go. So you're both very busy, is my point.
Yes.
And you found a common ground on that, or do you both feel sad that you can't be together more because of your careers?
I think we do pretty well at finding a common ground. I mean, I think that, there really haven't been there's been very few issues where one person feels like they are not getting enough attention. Or, I mean, we recently, and this actually just, the episode where I talked about this is now out there, we had a thing where I didn't want to talk on the phone, and I didn't really communicate that I was just too tired, and I didn't communicate that very well. And then I was kind of a jerk to him, and I felt really bad about it. And, I recorded the episode of this show right after the initial conversation about it had happened, but then we had another conversation about it, and now everything's fine. But that was just different schedules. I mean, he works a regular working person's schedule, and I work this thing where I do the show at night, and so late at night I am drained, like I have nothing left. But I'd say we are pretty good. The thing that I sometimes marvel at, though, is that I am okay with just doing my thing. I'll see him I actually see him on the week. We see each other quite a bit. But if something comes up where we can't, I'm okay with just doing my thing during the week and then seeing him on the weekend. And in the past, in relationships, I would have begun to feel like clingy and insecure not seeing this person during the week. And so this is a new thing for me. To actually be in a healthy relationship where even if I don't see him, I miss him, but I don't feel like I'm going to fall apart.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's really great.
Thank you. That's huge.
That's
for
hard.
me.
That's hard from both sides to find that, and hopefully he feels the same way.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, no, I couldn't be with someone who didn't feel that way. I mean, I think that that's just sort of a maybe a level of maturity that you get to when because I did a lot of work on myself, as stupid as that, or as cheesy as that sounds, because I noticed these patterns where I was just in these really kind of unhappy relationships, and the minute that I got together with someone, my entire mood had to do with where I thought I stood in their eyes. So I would get with someone, and then if I felt like they were slipping away, I was miserable. But when I was around them, I was happy, except that then I would begin to worry about, it wasn't at all what a relationship should be. It was just some other kind of codependent, needy thing. So then I was single for a long time because I felt like I can't do that anymore. That's not good for anyone.
Yeah, I went out with a girl briefly. Like we didn't quite call each other boyfriend and girlfriend, but it became somewhat serious and monogamous. And she wanted to talk on the phone all the time when we weren't in the same city and we weren't face to face. And I don't want to talk on the phone at all, ever.
Right.
Ever.
Do you talk to your mom on the phone?
Yes. That's like one person that I will call and talk to her because I cannot text her.
Right.
She's beyond texting, so and beyond email. So talking to her is something I have to do.
Right. But that's how you regard it.
But it's on my cell phone in my hand, not up to my ear, with the speakerphone on.
Yes.
More often than not, when I'm doing something else like driving a car.
Yes.
I'll talk to my mom for a while I'm sitting in traffic.
Right.
So
you have the
thing.
same thing I do, which is you don't like to hold the phone up to your ear.
Do not.
Yeah.
The cancer thing is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it's giving you brain cancer is scary. But then they keep going back and forth on whether or not that's true. But just how hot it gets up against your face just feels wrong. And I've just gotten past, I will talk to you when I see you. Mm-hmm. We do not need to have a long phone conversation when it's more often than not someone I'm about to go see. Like for business, sometimes I'll get stuck on the phone for a while. Yeah. But even for that, I'm lucky in that, I book my podcasts and stuff and I just text or email everybody. Mm-hmm. I'm only talking on the phone if it's, you got to call someone and say, ask them the question, get the answer, and then hang up.
Right.
And so in relationships, it becomes about, especially from the woman's point of view, just let's talk about our day that we had separate from each other when you're out on the road. And I'm just going to be out on the road too much, and that's not what I want to do at the end of the day, when I'm on the road. Yeah. Is be on the phone trying to, make somebody feel better about all the stuff that happened to them that day or whatever.
Right. Well, that's what I was saying on the episode where I talked about my boyfriend and my phone situation, was that it happened to be on a day where I had just done a very intense episode of the podcast. And I felt like I was so tired that I wouldn't be able to flip the switch from I'm talking as an entertainer to I'm talking to a human being that I'm having a relationship with. And it just felt like if I get on the phone, I'm just going to be doing an hour of material, which is very self-aggrandizing when I hear myself say that. But I just felt like I don't have it in me to just talk. There's no talking left. There's no words. I could grunt, which is essentially what I did, and then I felt terrible about that.
And that's also hard to hear, that someone is not in the mood to talk to you.
Exactly.
It's hard not to get defensive and angry.
I don't know that
frustrated.
I could hear it. Yeah. I feel like it's me.
Come on. Why can't you talk to me for a little while?
Well, that's the thing is that I feel like wanting to connect on the phone, you can't connect on a cell phone. Ugh. Back in the days of landlines, which I miss, I'm still stuck in that days, you could actually feel like you're talking to someone. On a cell phone.
I was the landline hours-long conversations person back when landlines were everywhere, and that's the only way you called each other. Yeah.
Yeah, but on a cell phone, I feel like it's just that thing of like, oh, no, you go. No, you go. What? No, you go. And I don't know, but I watch people have these conversations like we're in their car where they're running their cell phone through their GPS thing or through some I don't know where it's coming out of their car, but something that sounds like really tinny and fuzzy. And they're having these important conversations and it doesn't seem to faze them. I would drive off the road. I'd be so frustrated.
Yeah, I don't the sound quality and especially if it's a relationship argument, it's about these vague ideas and the concept of not talking to each other enough or something. Right. To have that conversation on a cell phone that could cut out at any second. Yeah. And like with a cell phone, I hate having an argument on a cell phone because it's gonna cut off or something. And you're going to throw it very, very far. When there were landlines, if you threw the phone, it would come right back. Right. Because it would be on a nice stretchy cord.
Tether, yeah.
It would be tethered in. But yeah, talking on the phone, I just have really just gotten over it. Like I just, it's not something that appeals to me. So that's the first thing I look for in a woman now is
that she doesn't have a phone.
Which is great because, I'm dating women that are, slightly younger than myself. And so.
Oh yeah. They don't like to talk on the phone
and
either.
the culture is very texty. It's a lot about texting, so the last few girls that I've, dated or hung out with, they haven't been, they've been pretty good about, we just text back and forth. Because there's lots of situations where I enjoy texting with someone while I'm sitting there doing something, like if I am on the road and I'm like eating by myself or something, it's fun to be able to text with somebody that, how was your day or whatever, when you're in the mood for it.
Mm-hmm.
But also with somebody who you don't feel like a responsibility to have that conversation.
Right.
Like with my mom, I call her every time I land in a plane somewhere. That's like, so she's getting to hear from me usually 2 or 3 times a week. And it's always, I made it here safely because my mom's a big worrier.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just like the pattern we're in but I always, it's never with the phone up to my face. It's always, holding it in front of me.
Right.
Which I can't stand people that have conversations about their lives in public places where other people are forced to listen to it. Like waiting to get on an airplane, that guy on the phone doing business or just talking to a relative. It makes me insane having to hear a loud half of a conversation that's like, and that they're so willing to have such a personal conversation so loudly.
Yes, I know. I'm always surprised by that too. And I am always self-conscious about having that conversation. But also, and the reason I am is because I'm the person who, whenever I hear anyone, this is also not flattering about me. Whenever I hear anyone having a conversation or even making jokes in line for somewhere, I'm inside my head. I'm thinking, oh, please, oh God, I'm just sort of heckling. Just think like apparently I'm full of hate. I don't think of myself that way. Sometimes I do, but it's weird. Maybe that's just sort of the way I let out some of the negativity.
But it's a combination of that assaulting you, that the you having to hear it.
Yeah.
And then also it's more often than not it is mundane, like what they're talking about. Like sometimes I will actually, and I usually travel with a friend, so I'll usually say it to whoever I'm standing next to. But I love it like when a guy's on the phone call. I got to get that on Bill's desk by Monday. I'll pretend I will say out loud what the other person on the other end should be saying. I'll be like, yeah, you better get that on his desk by Monday. And then if they look at me funny, I'm like, oh, you're not talking to me? Which happens anyway. Like, you ever been walking along in the airport and you hear, hi, and you turn like, wow, who is this person so excited to see me? And they're on their goddamn phone talking to their 2-year-old or whatever.
Do you remember back in the day when you'd see someone just talking to their shoulder, you thought it was a crazy person? And now the first instinct is, oh, they're just on the phone.
Yeah,
but they actually could be crazy.
When they have the thing on their ear or the thing dangling that they're talking into,
the bead
drives me nuts. That because they just, I'll stare at them for a while because it's just so fascinating how some people they've embraced it and are just willing to just be sitting. People are as far away as you are, and they're just sitting there going, well, listen, I tell him it's going to be his hide when I get back tomorrow.
Right. And what kind of discharge?
Yeah, like talking to their doctor or whatever. Yeah, it's bizarre.
Another annoying auditory experience being on the subway in New York. Because first of all, there's just a lot of like screechy, sort of just the regular ambient noise, and then there are noisy people on the subway who are yelling at each other. Talking to each other but yelling, so you're hearing their conversations. But what I always found was the craziest, most annoying was the subway announcements that are garbled and you can't really hear them. And I would try to figure out why is that more annoying than if I could actually understand it. And I think it's because it's taxing the background of my brain, because even if I don't need to, like, I know where my stop is, I don't need to hear it. There's some part of me that is working on trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and there's also a part of you that's like, the people that built the system, the people that made those speakers, the person that's speaking into them, none of them seem to care that it has gone adrift and it's not serving its purpose. Like, and whenever you do say to somebody, hey, I couldn't, like at airports or anywhere, I'll say, oh, that announcement is, too loud, or I couldn't tell what you were saying. You should look into that. People just shrug it off. Like, that's my job, is to talk through this thing, and it doesn't really matter if people are hearing what I'm saying.
You're right. Yeah, we just accept
because they also get really mumbly.
Yes.
On the subway, they just get super mumbly.
Right.
And it's just because they're bored. Or like when you're waiting to go on a ride at Disneyland or Magic Mountain, when they're giving you the safety instructions, and some kid that working there for the summer, pull down on the handle, make sure you don't enjoy your ride. You're just like, what? Is that important?
I know.
Do I need to know that?
I know. Yeah, that never happens on an airplane, though. One place where I could use a little extra entertainment, perhaps. It's not entertainment, though. It's annoyance, but...
Well, what I hate is when, like, some planes now, when the pilot comes on to say some stuff about, that I don't care about, like they're always talking about...
What's out the left side of the plane?
No, they're always talking about when we land in Los Angeles, it's going to be 50 degrees and the visibility is going to be 10 miles. Whoever needs to, I'm off the plane, what's the visibility?
Right.
How far can I look when I get off the plane? How about just look? So, but no, the one that really bothers me.
On second thought, you're going to have to pick me up from the curb.
Yeah, the visibility is mere inches.
Yeah.
And then the other one that's terrible is that now if you're watching a movie, or in my case, I like watching catching up on TV shows on planes, because they show The Office and Up All Night and Parks and Recreation. So shows that I like are playing. A lot of times it'll pause when the guy makes when an announcement is being made, but sometimes it doesn't. And then they do one of those announcements where they make part of the announcement, and then you could tell they kind of put the thing down and think about it for a while, but they've still got the button on. They just make extra long.
Right.
Like comedians used to do jokes about it all the time, but it used to be that it wasn't interrupting your TV show. It was just you're sitting on a plane with nothing else to do than listen to this long announcement. So that used to be the joke. But now, to me, I wouldn't do it in my stand-up because it's, again, also flying all the time. The problems you have are not that interesting to people that just, paid to see you tell jokes in a comedy club. Because most people aren't flying all the time.
Right.
And those that are talking really loud on their Bluetooth and won't even get it when you complain about it.
Yeah. They haven't graduated to the level of being annoyed that they're missing out on a pivotal moment of Up All Night, or they want the programming to come back.
My new favorite show is Happy Endings, and it's super fast paced. The jokes just, or like 30 Rock's another one I like watching on planes. But you'll miss 4 jokes if they make a 30-second announcement.
Right.
And you could certainly pick up on where the plot is going. That's not so hard, but it's still aggravating that they're going. So, looks like we're going to be about 10 minutes early, about 5 minutes to get to the gate, and so that should bring us in right on time. Thank you for flying with us. It's like, wow, and the flight attendants do the same thing. They, some of them have their speech down better than others.
Yes, and they also always tell you which carousel your baggage is going to be at, and I always am like, wait, did he say B5? It always takes me a few tries to grasp it.
And go to where there's 4 baggage claim things and look at the sign and find the one that your flight is on and which one it says it's going to be on. That's simple enough to just do. My favorite is along those lines is when you get into a cab at a hotel in any city in this country, they'll ask you'll say, I'm going to the airport. They say, which airline? And 9 times out of 10, they have to ask you again when they're approaching the airport. So why not just make it standard practice to just ask when you're getting close to the airport? Which airline? Why does the guy need to know when it's a 20-minute cab ride to the airport? Why does he need to have in his head or try to remember what airline you're on the entire time?
You're right.
And they'll always ask again. And then you're the douchebag if when the guy first asks, if you go, hey, why don't you ask me again when we get there, and you'll remember. Because that guy might be the one that does remember.
You're right. So you just have to play right into their hands, play their dumb rhetorical games. Well, Doug Benson, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for the sudden wrap up.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to warn you that we're done here.
Because you like the show to be. Do you have a length that you shoot for?
Well, it's about an hour and a half usually. That's what we shoot for. However, your friend and mine, Larry Miller, has to get his buns in here. So let me just give a quick announcement about one of our sponsors, GameFly. GameFly is a video game rental system that delivers games to your door and now directly to your PC. It's like Netflix for video games. Over 8,000 games, including new titles like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3, Batman Arkham City, and The Elder Scrolls. Delivery right to your home, no late or shipping fees. Monthly price is a fraction of what a new game would cost in stores. It is great for parents with kids that play games or the guy that likes to sample different games, like you with the ladies, while saving money. And for my listeners, free 15-day trial. So just go to gamefly.com/Rosen or click the banner on my site. Also, Amazon. You're going to buy stuff from Amazon anyway, aren't you? Of course you are. If you just click the banner on my site, it doesn't cost you anything extra, but it helps the show out. And also there's a banner for Endless, which is shoes and handbags and accessories. And thank you so much for listening to the show. Please continue to do so. Tell a friend. Rate it highly if you liked it. You can follow me at Alison Rosen. You can follow the show's Twitter feed at ARIYNBF. You can follow Doug Benson at Doug Benson. And Doug Benson, what else do you want to tell them?
Oh, just since we don't know when this is going to come out, just if you're interested in seeing me in your town, just go to douglovesmovies.com, and I'll be coming there to eventually to do stand-up or to tape an episode of Doug Loves Movies. I do a lot of them out on the road now.
Oh, cool.
And those are a lot of fun. And you should have something to say at this point in the show, though, that gets people through the sponsorship information. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Like if you just end it right after you say all that stuff, then people could get wise and turn the show off before right when you go into the promotional stuff.
You mean I should say something like, I'm going to say something really sexy after the promotional thing and make them wait
Oh,
out?
you're like GoDaddy? where they have those dumb commercials where they go, see what happens next.
You
Nothing's
can't see
gonna
this,
happen.
but I'm reading this off of my right breast. What do you mean?
No, I just mean like, or throw that in earlier or something.
I know. But see, if they were to have turned it off, they would have missed all this good stuff.
No, that's why I had to let
them
I brought
know.
it up, just to give them
That's
something.
Good. So I should just put it
give
earlier,
them
is what you're
something,
saying.
Give them something crispy.
That's Pete Holmes' thing.
You guys talked about that for like 20 minutes on his episode.
I had to get to the bottom of it.
I just want my episode to be longer than Pete Holmes. That's all I care about. Is it just has to be longer.
Okay.
So just put some dead air at the end.
Definitely. We'll do that.
Yeah.
You
so
have my word.
people don't listen to the dead air, but we're going to put some on here.
That's what you get if you make it through the sponsor announcement.
Well, it's not a hard announcement to get through. You talked about video games,
I know,
right?
it's awesome.
That's fun. That's a
Right.
great
I
sponsor.
know. So stay tuned for Dead Air. Okay, bye, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
So long.
Bye.
Hey, do you know about the Alison Rosen show? We had a good time. Now we gotta go. Thank you for watching the Alison Rosen show. Alison Rosen, if you
week.